Hello everyone and welcome back to my channel. So in this video we are going to be looking at another concept in SQL, that is going to be the CTEs, that is the common table expressions. So this is a little advanced concept away from all the basic stuff that we've already covered in the Excel to SQL series. So if you haven't checked it out, I have put a link in the description for you to take a look. All right, if you have never dealt with SQL, if you are not sure how to begin, you can go check that out and you can follow along. All right, so if you're new to the channel, I would request you to please subscribe to this channel and take a look at all the videos that I have done so far and let me know what you think about them. Share it with the people who you think will benefit from this as well. All right, so in today's video we are going to be doing things a little differently. You could see a Google Sheets sheet over here instead of an Excel file like I always do. So, and we are going to be using the Datalemur tool over here, okay, because I'm going to be explaining this concept, the CTE concept, using a problem statement. Okay, so unlike other times where I would have a data set ready and I would show you how it is done, I thought this would be a much easier way to show and do it for you. All right, okay, so let's look at the problem statement that we have. Okay, but before that, let us look at what is a CTE, what is a common table expression. Okay, so common table expression is a temporary table. You are creating a temporary table that you can use within a given query setting. Okay, so let's say you're trying to write a query, you're trying to pull it, but you have to manipulate the table, you have to twist the table in such a way so that you are able to pull that result easily. Okay, because sometimes you may be given a table and when you read the question and when you look at the table, okay, and you're like, how am I supposed to pull this result? How am I supposed to get the output that is expected of me to get? Because you know, in either in your questions or in your interviews or whatever, you get the output. See, this is the output that we need, and only if you get this output, the query is right. Okay, so how do you work around these things? Okay, so that is what we are going to understand with this example, through the example of Datalemur. So just this is not a sponsored post, but I'm just going to talk about Datalemur a little bit. This is a tool that is great for solving questions. So you have a lot of free questions on this, and if you take the premium, then you get access to other questions as well. So, and they're also divided by the level of complexity. Okay, so you have questions across not just SQL, but you have Python and machine learning and stats and you know all those things across different companies. So you can see that whatever interview questions were asked across companies are over here, so you get an idea of what kind of questions you need to solve and things like that. Okay, so maybe if you followed my series, if you understand how to write basic queries, you should be able to do some of the easy questions on this as well, right? So yeah, so do check it out, and if you want to check Datalemur out, I have put a link in the description to the site, so you can click that and check it out for yourself. All right, so coming back to the problem statement, so we have this as a problem statement. So let's look at what this problem statement is. So assume you're given a table Twitter tweet data. Write a query to obtain a histogram of tweets posted per user in 2022. Output the tweet count per user as the bucket and the number of Twitter users who fall into that bucket. Okay, so in other words, group the users by the number of tweets they posted in 2022 and count the number of users in each group. Okay, so basically it's like a histogram. A histogram is what? Okay, you have some values, right? You have some values, like let's say you have you know, students in a class who've taken a test out of 10 marks. Okay, and then you want to put a histogram. Okay, between the scores of 0 and 10, how many students are there? So maybe nobody scored a 0, 3 students scored 1, 4 students scored 2, 5 students scored 3, no students scored 6, you know, and so on and so forth. You build like one histogram. Okay, so that's the same thing that they're asking here as well. So you have to group the number of tweets posted by each user in 2022. Okay, so they've given like an example input, they've given the schema, and this is the output that they want. So this is the tweet bucket. So one tweet, so 2 users have posted 1 tweet. Okay, and 2 tweets has been posted by 1 user. Okay, so that's what is written over here. Okay, so based on, there are 2 users who posted only 1 tweet, and there is only 1 user who posted 2 tweets in the year 2022. Okay, so this is our problem statement. Okay, so now before we come to solving this over here, I'll just tell you what is happening in the data itself. Okay, so this is the data set that we have. I just did a simple select star from tweets, that's the table's name, and I got this table over here, so I'm just going to use that as a reference. All right, now if you see this, we need to understand that every user, now we need to count the user IDs and how many tweets they have put in the year 2022. First of all, what do we have? We have tweet ID, user ID, message, and tweet date. Okay, so to get this answer is not going to be straightforward. Why? Because one, you need the count of users. Okay, another one you need is you have to filter only for 2022. Okay, and you also need to understand how many users posted 1 tweet, 2 tweets, and so on and so forth. Okay, so it is very tricky to get this in within one table. Okay, so what you need to do is you need to change this table. This table needs to be changed. Okay, this table needs to be modified in such a way so you can get this output that we have over here. This is the output that you need. Okay, so how are we going to do this? So I'm just going to delete these. These are the 3 user IDs. I just took the uniques of these. Okay, so I'm just going to put a little drawing here so that you can understand the flow of this. Oops. Okay, yeah, there you go. Okay, so I'm just going to save and close this. Yeah, that's better. Okay, I think we should rotate this a little bit. Okay, never mind. I think yeah, this is a much better arrow. Yeah. All right. Okay, so this is going to be the next table that we're going to do. Okay, so now what I'm going to do is I'm going to first modify this query a little bit. Okay, so what do I need? So we don't need message and we don't need tweet ID. We just need the counts. Okay, so what I'm going to do is I'm going to first count, okay, how many tweets each user has put. That's going to be my approach. Okay, so we need to find, okay, let's say there are 3 tweets by 111, 1 by 254, 1 by 148. This is based on what I'm seeing over here. Okay, but if you see the tweet over here, yeah, it's kind of the same over here, but now we need to understand how many tweets were posted by every user. That's the first thing that we need to get. Okay, so to do that, what we can do, we can just write a straight query first. So select user ID, comma, we need to get the count of the tweets, correct? So you can take count of tweet ID. Okay, that's an easier way to put it. So we have count of tweet ID. Okay, okay, actually let's write all this in caps, that'll be better. So select user ID, comma, count of tweet underscore ID, comma, what else? I think that should be it, right? That's the tweet count per user. So I'm just going to alias it as tweet count per user. Okay, so 2 values. One, you'll get the user ID and how many tweets has each user posted. Okay, from what's the table's name? Tweets. Okay, now what we need to know is we need to know that they posted only in 2022. Okay, so what we can do is simply we can use the between clause. Okay, so as you know, between is that you can put a condition where you can say that where date is between this date to this date. Okay, so that's the between clause. Okay, I have made a video on this in the series, so once again telling you that if you haven't checked out the Excel to SQL series, I have covered the between clause and how to use it, so do check out the link in the description. All right, so I'm going to say a where. So select is done, from is done, where what's the name of the date? Tweet date, right? Tweet underscore date is equal to, so tweet underscore date between, Okay, now we need to specify the range. I've specified between, and now I need to specify start date and the end date. Okay, so if it is going to be within 2022, it has to be between 1st January of 2022 to December 31st, 2022. Okay, so I'm just going to write it in a format. I'm just going to write this in this format because that's how this will be understood. And 2022 12/31. Okay, so yeah, you can always check the format that you're writing it in, but yeah, I think this is a good format to go by. Okay, so we have done this, and now we need to do a group by, because we have a summation, a count function in the select. So group by user ID, because that's the only dimension we have over here. All right, now when I run this, you see that we get this table. So now we have transformed it to this table. Let's go to our sheet. All right. Okay, so we have transformed this to this table. Let's just expand this a little bit so that doesn't feel very alien, does it? So just going to get it here. Sorry. Yeah. Okay, so now we have converted this table to this table using the query that we just wrote. Okay, now if you see this table, what was our ask? Our ask was a histogram of how many users posted one tweet, how many users posted 2 tweets, 3 tweets, and so on. Right? So now is it possible to get that? If you look at this, I can take the count of the user ID, right? And we can say how many users posted 2 tweets, how many users posted 1 tweet, and so on and so forth. Correct? Because it is much easier now. We have removed this tweet ID and message and all those distracting elements, and we have just said, okay, this is what it is. All right. So now what we are going to do is we are going to take this. So I'm just going to map this out. So now if you can see here, 1 tweet and 1 tweet, 1 user, 1 user. Okay. So there are 2 users who have posted 1 tweet. Okay, and there is 1 user who has posted 2 tweets. So that's matching with the output that we are getting over here. Correct? So how are we going to do this? We are now going to say, okay, I'm going to take this first, right? I'm going to take this tweet count per user first, and then the count of user ID. Okay, so what is going to happen is this is going to become distinct then, because you're treating this as a dimension. It's like a pivot table, right? If I make a pivot out of this and you drag this column to the rows, you will only get the unique values 1 and 2. Okay, and if you bring this user ID as count, then it's going to tell you, okay, how many posted 1 tweet, how many posted 2 tweets. Okay, so we're going to do the same thing now. Okay, but now how do we do this? The question is, how do we do this? Okay, because we have this one query over here. Now, how are you going to connect this query with the query to transform this into the output that we need? Okay, so this is where your CTE comes handy. Okay, this is where your CTE will be used to access that table and get the output. Okay, so this, what you see over here, will now be added as a CTE, which means I can use the output of this query, write another query, and get the output that I need. Okay, so your from statement, so here it is from tweets. The second query that we will write to get this output will be from the output of this. Okay, so the way to write this is, I'm just going to leave a space here and I'm going to use the keyword with. Okay, which means, so I have to use this query along with what I'm going to write next. So with, and I'm going to write an alias. So what alias can we write? Let's say total tweets or tot tweets, something like this. Okay, with tot tweets as, and then I'm going to put a bracket. So now this becomes a common table expression. Okay, if you run it as is, nothing is going to come. Okay, that's going to be an error. Okay, because what you have done is you have only just temporarily stored this query. Okay, the way to use this now is to access the name of the source. So I'm just going to now say, if you now say select star from tot tweets, right, and you run it, this is our table. This is our output, right? Now I can modify this. I can modify this the way I want and get the output that I need. So we started from this table, we have come to this table, and now we want to get this table. It's much easier to manipulate this table than this table. Okay, so and now I am able to access the output, that is this one. This is the output of this, okay, for whatever I want out of this table. Okay, so in the same fashion, what I'm now going to do is I'm going to say select tweet count per user, comma, okay, and I want to see how many users have posted the tweet count. Okay, so select this from this. Okay, I don't need to filter anything because we have done the filtration for 2022 over here, so we are saved from that. Group by tweet count per user. Okay, if you want, you can order it by tweet count per user. Okay, I'm just going to say order by because this will order it in the ascending order by default. All right, so now this becomes the complete query. Okay, this becomes one single query. All this while we have been doing single queries. We write everything like a single query like this and run and get outputs. Whereas in this situation, because the table that you're given is different, the output you are expected to get is completely different, you need to modify those things accordingly. Okay, so this is how you connect one query, the output of one query into another. So this becomes your common table expression, which is common to both of them. Okay, so you can save this as a view, and you can use it anywhere across the query that you will write. Okay, now if I run this, you can see now tweet count per user 1, 2 and 2, 1. Okay, now if I submit this, okay, see, that's it. The answer is accepted and we have solved the problem. All right, so this is a very simple example of how to use a CTE. Okay, how you can manipulate the given table that you have to get an output that really makes not much of an interlinking between them. Right. So before we end this video, just a few more pointers around CTEs. Okay, now let's say the table is very complicated and you can't do everything in one CTE. You are more than happy to use more than one. You can use any number of CTEs that you like. Okay, because sometimes what you might have to do is you might have to join tables, and you might have to combine tables together to get different CTEs and then maybe use them in the query later on. So whenever you have such a thing, the best way to connect the CTEs is to put a comma and put another CTE over here. Okay, so let's imagine this is CTE 2, this is CTE 2 and this is CTE 1. All right, so you can join two CTEs with a comma. Okay, so if you have written CTE 1 and you have finalized it, you want to write another CTE, you put a comma and then use the with clause this as, and then write the second query in this as well. Okay, you keep joining it with commas until you're done writing your CTEs. Now in this case, I have two CTEs, so I'm not putting a comma, I'm done over here. Okay, so I have two CTEs and then I directly write the query. So you can join more than one CTE by using a comma and by calling it out as required. But remember, whatever query you're pulling, you need to be clear about which CTE you are calling. And generally what happens is, now as you can see, now wait, let me add this to our visual thing. Yeah, there you go. So this is the journey of how the result has evolved. Okay, so I'm just going to put another arrow over here just so that we can complete where we started from. Okay, I think it's going to be a little tricky here, but you get the gist, right? So this is the output that we have now gotten. Okay, so from this table to this table to this table is only possible if you know how to use common table expressions or CTEs. Okay, so these are there's another concept called subqueries which I may do in a separate video, but CTEs are always good because at least you know how to sort your tables, at least you know how to manipulate them, you understand what can be used, and then accordingly you can write them and use them. So if you understand how to use CTEs like this, right, you can write a lot of complex queries, and you will also be able to edit any existing queries in your Office database or things like that, and make the required changes as well. Okay, so I hope this video was helpful. I hope you took something out of this. So please do like this video and share it with your friends who you think would benefit from this. And please do subscribe to my channel. I'll be coming up with more data related content like this. We will be using tools like Datalemur and possibly more AI tools as well, just to help us learn and understand, and also understand how to use ChatGPT or any other tools along with your learning journey. All right, so I will see you in the next video. Thank you so much for watching.